We pick up Act 5, Scene 2 at line 167, at the point where Emilia, who has just discovered that Othello has murdered Desdemona, is shouting out for assistance. Montano, Gratiano and Iago enter, with Montano immediately asking Othello what is wrong. "What is the matter? How now, General?" Othello remains speechless, while a distraught Emilia ignores Montano, instead turning bitterly on her husband. "Oh, are you come, Iago? You have done well that men must lay their murders on your neck," i.e. that other men can blame you for their crimes. Emilia ignores Gratiano's inquiry as to what is the matter, and instead addresses herself to Iago once more. She begs him to disprove this villain if thou beest a man, and explains that Othello has told her that it was Iago who told him that Desdemona had been cheating on him. Note the sense of desperation in her tone. "He says thou toldest him that his wife was false. I know thou didst not. Thou'rt not such a villain. Speak, for my heart is full." Rather than allay her fears, Iago responds that he has only told Othello what he thought was right, and that this only corresponded with what Othello was thinking himself. "I told him what I thought, and told no more than what he found himself was apt and true." Emilia is outraged that Iago has told Othello that Desdemona has been false with Cassio, calling it an odious, damned lie. "Upon my soul, a lie, a wicked lie." Iago tells Emilia in no uncertain terms to shut up. "Go to, charm thy tongue." Emilia, however, cannot stop herself, as she lays the blame for Desdemona's death firmly at his door. "I will not charm my tongue, I am bound to speak. My mistress here lies murdered in her bed, and your reports have set the murder on." She is so distraught at what has happened that she feels that she may die from the grief of it. "Villainy, villainy, villainy. I think upon it, I smell it. Oh, villainy! I thought so then. I'll kill myself for grief. Oh, villainy, villainy!" Iago is not impressed by her outburst. She is being a nuisance and could wreck the whole plan. He orders her to go home. "What, are you mad? I charge you get you home." Emilia's days of blindly obeying her husband, something that was expected in Elizabethan England, are, however, over. She admits that she should do what he says, but under the circumstances that wouldn't be right. Unwittingly foreshadowing her own death, she threatens that she may never go home. "Good gentleman, let me have leave to speak. 'Tis proper I obey him, but not now. Perchance, Iago, I will ne'er go home." Othello falls on the bed, crying out as he does so. Emilia, however, is contemptuous of his show of emotion and responds unsympathetically. "Nay, lay thee down and roar, for thou hast killed the sweetest innocent that e'er did lift up eye." "No," counters Othello, standing back up, "she was foul." He suddenly becomes aware of the presence in the room of Gratiano, Desdemona's uncle, and so his own by marriage, and tries to explain away his murderous act. "I scarce did know you, uncle. There lies your niece, whose breath indeed these hands have newly stopped. I know this act shows horrible and grim, i.e. I know this looks bad." Gratiano, however, interrupts Othello mid-self-justification with the news that his and Desdemona's marriage has caused Brabantio to die from a broken heart. "Poor Desdemona, I am glad thy father's dead. Thy match was mortal, i.e. fatal to him, and pure grief sure, i.e. cut his old thread in twain or in two." Here Gratiano is referring to the three fates of Greek mythology, the three sisters who spun, measured and cut the thread of life. He adds that it's a good job that Brabantio is not alive to see this, as it would have driven him to do a desperate deed which would surely have led to his damnation. In other words, he would have murdered Othello himself. Othello, however, is determined to provide a justification for his act. He agrees that it is indeed pitiful, but yet Iago knows that she with Cassio hath the act of shame 1,000 times committed. Cassio confessed it, and she did gratify his amorous works with that recognizance and pledge of love which I first gave her. I saw it in his hand. It was a handkerchief, an antique token my father gave my mother. In other words, she and Cassio have committed the act of adultery on numerous occasions, and Desdemona has rewarded him by giving him the handkerchief that Othello gave to her as a token of his love. As a side note, observe that Shakespeare has forgotten that in Act 3, Scene 4, Othello explained to Desdemona that his mother had been given the handkerchief by an Egyptian sibyl or prophetess instead. The penny has finally dropped for Emilia as she realises the significance of the handkerchief, not to mention her own unwitting complicity in Iago's scheme. Iago tries to stop her from speaking, even threatening her with his sword, but Emilia is not to be deterred. O thou dull Moor, that handkerchief thou speakest of, I found by fortune and did give my husband, for often with a solemn earnestness, more than indeed belonged to such a trifle, he begged of me to steal it. Iago is apoplectic, screaming at her that she is a villainous whore, and that she is filth because thou liest. Emilia is adamant that she is doing no such thing. By heaven, I do not, gentlemen. O murderous coxcomb, what should such a fool do with so good a wife? The scales have suddenly fallen from Othello's eyes, and he turns on Iago, wishing as he does so that he had thunderbolts from heaven that he could hurl at him. Are there no stones in heaven but what serves for thunder? Precious villain! In the ensuing scuffle, Montano manages to disarm Othello, while Iago, shown up for the villainous coward that he truly is, stabs Emilia from behind before making his getaway. Emilia, as a dying wish, asks to be placed on the bed next to her dead mistress. Montano now takes charge, commanding Gratiano to take the sword, which I have here recovered from the Moor. Come guard the door without, let him not pass, but kill him rather. He then goes off in pursuit of Iago. I'll after the same villain, for 'tis a damned slave, while Gratiano stands guard outside the door. Othello is left alone with Emilia as he laments his lack of bravery to the extent that even a novice fighter could defeat him. I am not valiant neither, but every puny whipster gets my sword. Emilia, with her final breaths, refers back to the song Desdemona sung just a few hours previously and says that, like a swan, which was only thought of to sing when it died, she too will play the swan and die in music. As a parting shot, she reiterates to Othello just how wrong he has been about Desdemona. Moor, she was chaste, she loved thee, cruel Moor. So come my soul to bliss as I speak true, so speaking as I think, I die, I die. Othello now realises that he has a sword at his disposal after all. It was a sword of Spain, the Icebrook's temper. In other words, it has come from the Spanish town of Toledo, which was famous for its manufacturing of swords. Not only this, but it is a sword that was tempered or toughened by being plunged into an icy stream. He tells Gratiano that he needs to leave the chamber, but Gratiano warns him that if he tries, he will get hurt. Look in upon me then and speak with me, or naked, i.e. unarmed, as I am, I will assault thee. The unsuspecting Gratiano enters, and Othello reveals that he is armed after all, and that it is a weapon to be afraid of, as he has used it to slice through obstacles in his way 20 times greater than that presented by Gratiano. Behold, I have a weapon. A better never did itself sustain upon a soldier's thigh. I have seen the day that with this little arm and this good sword I have made my way through more impediments than 20 times your stop. He quickly changes his tune, however, as he effectively says, but who am I kidding? He cannot fight his fate, and he reassures Gratiano that he has nothing to fear from him, as he accepts that his life is now at an end. But, O vain boast, who can control his fate? 'Tis not so now. Be not afraid, though you do see me weaponed. Here is my journey's end. Here is my butt and very sea mark of my utmost sail, i.e., the destination of my final voyage. And he reiterates that Gratiano need not shrink away in fear. Indeed, if Gratiano is even to only man or aim a rush against Othello's breast, he will withdraw. Othello returns to the bed and contemplates Desdemona's dead body, which he observes is as pale as her smock or her nightgown. He knows that when they meet again at the last judgment, her appearance will send him straight down to hell. When we shall meet at Compt, this look of thine will hurl my soul from heaven, and fiends will snatch at it. He now either touches or holds Desdemona to him. Cold, cold, my girl, even like thy chastity. Note how he has now finally admitted the truth, that Desdemona was faithful to him to the end. This admission makes him turn upon himself, as he wishes for all the pains of hell, described by traditional medieval belief, to be visited upon him. O cursed, cursed slave, whip me, ye devils, from the possession of this heavenly sight. Blow me about in winds, roast me in sulphur, wash me in steep-down gulfs of liquid fire. O Desdemone, dead Desdemone, dead, oh, oh. Lodovico enters accompanied by Montano, Cassio in a chair, and Iago in the charge of officers. Othello comes face to face with Iago, looking for visible signs that he is the devil incarnate, such as the fact that he should have cloven hooves. I look down towards his feet, but that's a fable. If that thou beest a devil, I cannot kill thee. He wounds him. Although this is not fatal, he professes to be glad of this. I am not sorry neither. I'd have thee live, for in my sense 'tis happiness to die. In other words, the way he feels, life is suffering and death is preferable. Lodovico turns his attentions on to Othello, admitting that his acts have left him speechless. O thou Othello that wert once so good, fallen in the practice of a damned slave, what shall be said to thee? Othello maintains that he may be a murderer, but he wishes to be thought of as an honourable one. For naught did I in hate, but all in honour. Lodovico reveals that Iago hath part confessed his villainy, and then asks Othello if it is true that he and Iago plotted Cassio's murder. When Othello admits that this is the case, Cassio responds, Dear General, I never gave you cause. Othello asks for Cassio's forgiveness and demands that someone find out from Iago why he hath thus ensnared my soul and body. Iago now makes his final defiant speech, swearing that he will not say anything else. Demand me nothing. What you know, you know. From this time forth, I never will speak word. Gratiano threatens that torments or torture are sure to open Iago's lips, but the audience is, frustratingly, no closer to really understanding the seething mass of contradictions and petty resentments that is Iago. Shakespeare now uses the dramatic device of a discovered letter in Roderigo's pocket, in the absence of Iago's confession, to reveal what hath befallen. One discontented paper, a letter from Roderigo to Iago, no doubt full of complaint for his treatment, is also found, but that which never got sent, because belike Iago, in the nick of time, came and satisfied him, or murdered him. Othello now wants to know how Cassio came to have Desdemona's handkerchief in his possession. The simple truth is that I found it in my chamber, and he himself confessed but even now that there he dropped it for a special purpose, which wrought to his desire. In other words, Iago dropped it there deliberately, and it worked like a charm. Cassio also reveals that Roderigo's letter sheds light on his own dismissal from his position as Othello's lieutenant. There is besides in Roderigo's letter how he upbraids Iago, that he made him brave me upon the watch, whereon it came that I was cast. Not only this, but it also seems that Rodrigo wasn't actually dead, even though it had appeared that he was for a long time, and that he managed to say that Iago was the one to wound him. Lodovico now pronounces that Othello is to be taken away. Your power and your command is taken off, and Cassio rules in Cyprus. He shall remain locked up, till that the nature of your fault be known to the Venetian state. Othello asks them to wait for a moment. He has something to say. He lets them know that he has no desire to be given leniency just because he has served the Venetian government well. He wants them to tell it how it is, with no excuses made, but with no spite either. I've done the state some service, and they know it. No more of that. I pray you, in your letters when you shall these unlucky deeds relate, speak of me as I am, nothing extenuate, nor set down aught in malice. He wishes to be spoken of as one that loved not wisely but too well, of one not easily jealous but, being wrought, perplexed in the extreme. In other words, he admits that his sin has been of loving his wife excessively, and that, although not easily made jealous, he has been provoked beyond endurance and has snapped. Note how, no longer under Iago's malign influence, Othello's speech returns to the eloquence of before. In a series of racial tropes, he explains that he has thrown away something that was valuable, believing it to be rubbish, and that, unaccustomed to the melting mood or crying, he has wept as much as the myrrh which oozes from the Arabian trees. Not only this, but once when he was in Aleppo in Syria, he stabbed a person, considered an infidel at the time because they were Muslim, who beat a Venetian and traduced or betrayed the state. As he says these words, he raises his sword and stabs himself in a similar fashion. He now returns to the bed where Desdemona lies, and in his final speech he proclaims, I kissed thee ere I killed thee, no way but this, killing myself to die upon a kiss. Note how his final speech contains a rhyming couplet. Lodovico turns to Iago and, calling him a Spartan dog, an animal that was considered to be always eager for prey, accuses him of being more fell or more cruel than anguish, hunger, or the sea, and demands that he look on the tragic loading of this bed. This is thy work. The play draws to a close as Lodovico orders that Gratiano is legally the beneficiary of Othello's fortunes. Cassio, in his new position as Lord Governor, is charged with the punishment of Iago. To you, Lord Governor, remains the censure, i.e. the sentencing, of this hellish villain, the time, the place, the torture, oh, enforce it. Meanwhile he will straight aboard a ship to Venice, and to the state this heavy act with heavy heart relate. Note how the final lines of the play, with their breathy, aspirated alliteration and rhyming couplet, draw the play to its sombre conclusion. Thanks for watching. If you have any questions, please let me know in the comments section below, and I'll do my best to answer them. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel for more videos on English language topics and exam techniques, and English literature texts.